This is your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show.
Doesn't that sound exciting to you?
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only, mystifying oracle of radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show, Demon Hunter.
That would be me.
What are you doing, little brother?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy Father's Day to all the men around the world, including myself. It's not an easy job being a man and a great father, but we do it every day, guys. Congratulations. Happy Father's Day.
Oh, happy Father's Day to you, sir. I just want to let anybody in the chat room to know that I apologize. Sean, I'm going to start off tonight with an apology.
Oh, boy. It's going to be a great show.
Right off the bat, an apology.
Jesus.
I updated our website yesterday.
Yeah.
And in the process of updating our website, I accidentally deleted the Listen Live button.
I was just looking at that. I said, well, it's too late to get a hold of you now.
Well, so during the opening music, I went in and fixed it.
You did?
I did.
You are amazing, sir. Let me just say that. You know what? I mean, you are amazing in every way. I don't know how you do that stuff, but you are.
Man.
Right.
I'm a scientist.
I don't know how I managed to fix that one that quickly, but
You're a broadcaster.
I'm a scientist.
Yes.
But so now, if you were trying to get in through our webpage to chat, you can get in now.
Get in now. But like I was saying, happy Father's Day, Demon Hunter. A lot of people don't know the history of Father's Day, and we started off Mother's Day with giving some of the history. What do you say we do Father's Day?
Do we have to?
Let's do it. Hey, guys, listeners around the world, Father's Day was inaugurated, Demon Hunter, in the United States in the early 20th century to complement Mother's Day. Imagine that. It comes after Mother's Day. In celebrating, you got to keep Mama happy. If Mama's not happy, ain't nobody happy.
Well, they say Mother's Day is the most traveled day of the year because people go see Mom. They call Dad.
They call Dad. But like we were saying before, Dad doesn't want to be bothered anyway. But
Dad's
anyway.
like, it's my day, then leave me alone.
Yeah, Father's Day was created to complement Mother's Day in celebrating the fatherhood and the male parenting after the success obtained by Anna Jarvis and I'm sure the Hallmark Corporation. With the promotion of Mother's Day in the U.S., some individuals such as Sonora Dodd wanted to create similar holidays for other family members, and Father's Day was the choice most likely to succeed Mother's Day. There were other persons in the U.S. who independently thought of Father's Day, but the credit for the modern holiday is often given to Sonora Dodd of Central Methodist Episcopal Church. She was the driving force.
Keep going, keep trying. No dead air.
Father's Day was founded, Demon Hunter. Where do you think it was founded, Father's Day? In the United States. That's my one thing I'm giving to you.
If it excites you, I'll have to say it started in Indiana.
Nope. Spokane, Washington.
Oh.
Yeah, who would have thought? 1910 at the YMCA.
Okay.
By Smart Dodd, who was born in Arkansas. The first celebration was in Spokane, at the Spokane YMCA on June 19th, 1910. Her father,
muy impresante.
Yeah, her father, the Civil War veteran William Jackson Smart, was a single parent who raised 6 children. After hearing a sermon about Jarvis's Mother's Day in 1909 at Central Methodist Episcopal Church, she told her pastor that Father's Day should have a similar holiday, honoring them. Well, congratulations, Sonora, and thank you, Miss Dodd. That's it. We do need it. We do need it. Men need a holiday, too. It doesn't have to be as extravagant as Mother's Day. You don't have to buy me a cake and flowers, but it feels good. It feels good for a little bit just to get a good talking to. Hey, Demon Hunter, by the way, Shadow Nation, we are going out live on Stitcher, Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, and our new home, one of our new homes, 102.7 FM, The Hog.
Oink, oink.
Oink, oink. I got to get that, 102.7 The Hog. There you go. Now I got it loaded up. Hey, Demon Hunter.
Hey, Ghost Man.
You might remember last show. I don't know, you slept since then. Last show we were talking about a very serious, very real phenomena that's sweeping, unfortunately, the world. It's back in headline news, the Slender Man.
Oh, the Slender Man.
Second stabbing attack linked to Slender Man Mimi. And why don't you go ahead and explain what Mimi is, because I didn't even know what that was.
Before we get started, Sean, can I just ask you a question?
Go ahead. No, I don't.
How long have we been on the air right now? Because I forgot to set the clock.
We have been on the air 12 minutes, sir.
12 minutes already?
Yeah, 12 minutes. It's 7:13 on the button right now. And guys, we're setting the clock for we'll know when to take breaks. Yeah.
So now everybody knows. But we're not including the original music there. Those of you who didn't log in fast enough to hear our opening song, you will hear it later on during the show. Absolutely. But hey, Sean, a Mimi. The way I understand a Mimi is when something that is on television or online, social media, or broadcasted becomes so popular that it is used as a form of language. Like if you heard Captain Picard say, make it so, and you started using that line, there's a Mimi. That's the way it was explained to me. I'm not sure that's right, but that's the way I understood it.
Make it so, sir. Make it so.
Candy bars.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, Demon Hunter, unfortunately, this thing, is back in the news. Another very sad story comes. The reporter was Leonard Green at the Post Wires, was the name of the paper. Guys, thanks for this story. Slender Man has struck again, Demon Hunter.
Yes.
That guy. An Ohio girl, real close to a studio here, not far from, about an hour or two, under the apparent influence of a fictional internet whore, Mimi, attacked her mother last week with a kitchen knife, the authorities said. I came home, here's the quote, guys, from the mother. I came home one night. Tell me if this isn't scary for you parents out there. I came home one night from work, and she was in the kitchen waiting for me. And she was wearing a mask, a white mask. The suburban Cincinnati mother told a local television station she was someone else during the attack. The mother suffered multiple minor injuries, thank God only minor, including a puncture wound on her back. The girl, 13, is facing charges as a juvenile. And now, isn't that the knife assault follows a Slender Man-inspired attack days earlier by a pair of 12-year-old girls on their 12-year-old classmate who was left for dead in a Wisconsin park. Isn't that amazing, though? If you go back, Demon Hunter, to where the story, when we first got the story out, the other two girls that attacked that 12-year-old and stabbed her 19 times, they're tried as an adult right now, but this one's being tried as a juvenile. For attacking her
I
mother.
suppose it depends on the severity of the crime and how old the child actually is.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's where they left the 12-year-old classmate. She was left for dead in a Wisconsin park. She was found by passerbyers. She was stabbed 19 times, and she is, thank God, alive and recovering nice and safe, and she's very well recovering at home with her cats and all them. So best of luck to her. I never got to say that last week. Our heart goes out to the family and her, and we wish you all the best, Demon Hunter. But yeah, this is. I know we got a break coming up in about a minute, but
actually, no, we don't, because you got to subtract the 6 minutes from the opening of the show.
Oh, great!
So I didn't account for that. Sorry. So we'll reset those clocks in just a second.
We'll reset it. But the reference to the Slender Man, the mother said we found things that she had written, and she made references, I guess, to the Slender Man. In these writings that she did. She also made references to killing. She even created a world for Slender Man in the game Minecraft. Heck, my kids play that game.
Oh, that's an addiction from what I understand. People get into it and they just get addicted to it.
Yeah, now guys, we're not saying Minecraft, anybody creating Minecraft or players, we're not saying Minecraft's evil. We're saying,
but it is.
Yeah, whatever. They're saying, kids are using that and other things, I'm sure, to create these worlds, because you do have the ability to create worlds with their own fantasy thing. Slender Man, a computer demon created by paranormal enthusiasts, is said to be a lanky, faceless creature in a suit who terrorizes the kidnaps children.
Very similar in appearance to the Shadow Man.
Says part Lurch from the Addams Family and part Freddy Krueger.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, that's scary though.
It is, and like I said, we've had the Shadow Man and the Hat Man rumors for years, but the Hat Man didn't hurt you. That was not the goal of the Hat Man. The Hat Man observed, and they created this this new character, and apparently people are just taking him a little too seriously. I guess when you say that, a child's mind is easy to get in there and mold, they're not kidding, because these kids are breaking the mold here.
Guys, usually we do comedy right off the bat, but this is a very real thing. We wanted to send this out because we're following these stories, and hopefully this is it. But I doubt it, Demon Hunter. I doubt this is...
Let's go on the record right now, Sean.
Yes, on the record.
Now, this probably won't get to any children from us, because any smart parent won't let their kids listen to our show.
That's right.
But
don't let your kids listen.
But we're telling kids right now. We're telling you there is no Slender Man. So stop sacrificing people to him.
Stop being ignorant.
It is wrong. You should not do this. It is bad. You will not get ice cream if you follow the Slender Man, okay? He is a stranger danger, stay away.
Stranger danger. They actually got a hold of a spokeswoman for Slender Man, creator Eric Knudsen. I don't believe they said spokesman for Slender Man. But that's the creator, I guess, Eric Knudsen, and the administrator for Creepypasta at wikia.com, where the meme was published. They've apologized since the first attack and said Slender Man does not teach children to be violent. He's deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act.
Well, you can't really hold him responsible either. No. It was part of a contest, wasn't it? It was. I mean, that's like us doing a show, and one of the kids saying, well, Nathan talked about a, demon on the show, so now we're going to worship the demon and kill people in his name. I mean, the guy just created something, Well, take it from me. From someone who has had people attacking him saying, what you did on television, you're going to inspire our children to go out and do that. When you're doing something for first of all, we research differently than other people do. Secondly, we tell people all the time not to try what we try. And thirdly, why are your kids staying up at 11 o'clock at night watching me on television?
That's right, yeah. Well, when it clearly says don't do this at home, and this show was intended for adult viewing, you know what I mean?
Yes, and somewhere in there it also points out that we're entertainers, folks. And
yes.
You see somebody swallowing a sword on a street corner, don't go home and try it.
Absolutely. And for you guys just joining the Shadow Nation, we had a show on A&E television called Extreme Paranormal that ran for a short time. And we did some very controversial, groundbreaking things.
Which at the time people said was horrible. And now everybody else is doing it, saying, this is smart.
That's right. Some people would say we were groundbreakers.
Yes. Yeah. Other people just said we were rule breakers, but hey, we said we were going to break the rules. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, we did. Well, let's see here. What else we got? Well, the Slender Man with the kids especially. That's what's so scary because their minds are still being shaped, and if they see other kids doing it, that's why I fear this isn't the end that we've heard of Slender Man.
You don't think so?
No, just like the school shootings, man. I mean, it's terrible tragedy, but they think it's hip and cool or something, And
it's not. It's not hip, folks. Right off the bat, I'm going to say Sean Burris is wrong. It's not hip and cool.
It's not. I never said it was hip and cool. My God. Hey, tonight's band, Demon Hunter. Tonight's band, Black 47. Name of the song, The Big Fella. Thank you, Black 47, for the tune.
Friends of the show.
Yeah, the good friends of the show.
Thank you so much. Hey, Sean, have you been hearing about the Roman temple found in Florida?
No, I kind of heard something about that. What is it?
Well, apparently they were digging up to build some new condos down in Miami, Florida.
Okay.
And what do they come across except the foundation or the pillars of a Roman temple?
Well, that's kind of weird.
Well, right off the bat, of course, people start asking, what's going on here? They torn down the Olympic Theater
Yeah.
in downtown Miami, found these columns. News went out everywhere. Were the Vikings the first to really make it to America? Had the Romans gotten lost at sea, and they found built a temple in Florida?
Yeah.
Had they claimed that there were medals and tools of the time period found. Now, you have to remember, not too long ago in Florida, they did just unearth an Indian site that was from around the same age.
Right.
So there's a lot of talk going on. Is this true? But the new condos, of course, they said were halted immediately from being built so that they could continue researching this. And there's a photo of them digging it up, and you see all these pillars.
Yeah.
Well, the most recent word out on this, if you have been following this at all or had any interest in it, the Roman temple found in Florida, which I just got from Inhabit Miami. So this comes out of Miami. Rumors have been swirling. Excuse me. It's not the G&D drinking game yet, so you don't have to take a drink yet. Rumors have been swirling on the social media about the discovery of an ancient Roman temple and the artifacts in downtown Miami. Everything stated by the anonymous blog post on Friday evening apparently is false. They have reached out to the development team of the condos and can confirm that the groundbreaking story is complete fiction.
Oh, my God, man.
The picture is partially photoshopped, and according to the developers, we have completed all the scheduled pours and continue to do so according to the schedule. There is zero truth to this story. So if you thought, folks, that maybe the ancient Romans had in fact discovered America, not the Vikings, not Christopher Columbus, not no, I'm sorry to tell you, it just didn't happen. The Vatican has no claim on Florida.
Was this Caesar's real house? Did he live at the theater? You know what I mean? Remember that from what was the name of that movie? I forget now. Bachelor Party or something. They went to Vegas at Caesar's Palace. Did Caesar?
Oh,
really
it's
live
Caesar's
here?
Palace.
Did Caesar really live here? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's crazy, man. Who would take the time and who would pick that up and run with it? A Photoshop picture.
It was all the funny thing was it was all over the news just a week ago.
That's crazy.
Just less than a week ago. It was all over the news. People talking about this ancient Roman village. Nope, photoshopped. None of the story true. Whether or not there was anything down there that gave somebody the idea to do it, I haven't found that out yet. I haven't gotten to go to Miami, Sean. Our budget doesn't allow me to hop on a plane and fly down there and check it out.
Me, Miami.
But
I try to stay away from Miami, dude. Last time I went, I think I was like 15 and I heard gunshots while we were sleeping. I mean, it was pretty bad, man.
Well, I'm from Connecticut, man. All I got to do is drive up to Bridgeport to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, now we're going to get the hate mail from
It's going to come in, buddy. It's going to come in. Hey, we usually don't get into politics on the show, Demon Hunter.
Well, there's a reason to that.
Is there a reason? Okay. Get ready for a summer of attacks on Obama's climate change rules. Have you heard this?
I have not.
Yeah. Well, apparently he came out. How much time we got before we go to break? I didn't want to start this before.
For some reason, my clock stopped. So
I guess when we go
I will say let's go to break right now, and maybe we'll have to fix that. Let me fix that clock, and we'll go back to it. Make sure everything's working right for the next time.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, Shadow Nation. Are we going to break, or are we back from break?
We're back from break.
We're back from break, Shadow Nation. Hey, we're still getting the bugs worked out on these breaks. You guys will usually hear music come in. For the listeners on around the world that are listening live on Ustream or any of our Stitchers or Planet Paranormal, this will not affect you whatsoever. You'll just hear a 2-second pause. Of course, the guys listen to us on 102.7 The Hog. It'll be, well, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes before they can do the commercial breaks.
Yay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a...
Anyway.
yeah.
So tell me more about these. So, Sean, in case I have to cut out that last section there. So what were we saying about Obama's climate change?
It says the series this summer is likely to see a series of attacks by industry opponents of the U.S. plan to curb carbon emissions from power plants in the bid to stir voter anger ahead of elections in November, when voters in states such as Kentucky and West Virginia may determine whether Democrats keep control of the Senate, of course. Now, President Obama, on Monday, the Environmental Protection Agency is expected to propose new rules to crack down on power plant emissions, part of President Obama's efforts to combat global climate change. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce will release a report Wednesday, Demon Hunter, analyzing the effect the yet-to-be-announced regulations will have on the economy. Something tells me fuel will go back up. Oh, wait a minute, it's already up. The coal industry, lobbyists, of course, say the new rules will probably raise household electricity costs, prompt power brownouts during heat waves and cold snaps, and destroy jobs at coal mines and manufacturing plants. Huh?
Well, you know those coal mine jobs are the ones everybody wants.
Yeah, well, nothing like black lung there.
Yeah.
Anyway, National Mining Association, which represents large coal mining companies, include Peabody Coal, blah, 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 blah. This is multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies that are afraid they're going to be put out of business. It's going to affect the American population, and it will. You start messing with electric bills and everything else on top of it. You pile on the high rate of gas increases. I mean, it's kind of raging out of control, not to mention several thousands of scientists have disagreed, man, with the climate change due to us, people with the putting pollution in the air and all this stuff. They're saying it's a natural occurrence of the planet. That's a lot of them are saying this, like 70%. Of course, some of the advisors to the president and the scientists that are checking that out are going against it, and they're on the president's side saying, it's due to us. So I thought that was kind of interesting because that's something that's going to affect us all. We don't get into politics, guys, on the show. We get into comedy most times, but I thought that was...
Because when we get into politics, Sean and I argue a lot.
Yeah, we do argue a lot, but I mean, wow! It's kind of...
And I find, you said, Sean, about 70% of the scientists are saying that it's a natural occurrence. I personally believe, are we speeding up the greenhouse effect? Probably. We're dumping a lot of stuff in the atmosphere, and that will have an effect. So do volcanoes. So do all sorts of natural occurrences, and so we're probably speeding it up a little bit. Will the Earth heal itself? Sure, I'm sure it will.
Hope so.
Will we suffer a bit from our own actions? Probably. But the fact of the matter is, Sean, we live in a world that nowadays people want information at their fingertips. They all carry smartphones so they can check the weather instantly on their phones.
Right.
They all carry. They all want to go home and pop a dinner in the microwave and be able to eat dinner in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And they all want to be able to turn on the AC and get cool if it goes over 75 degrees.
We're pussified.
So the fact of the matter is, we have to supply some kind of electricity, and Tesla is not around to build his world-powered generator at this point.
We need Tesla.
So. We got to do something, right? We got to do something. And I mean, everybody wants somebody to blame, but those people want somebody to blame. I bet you they're still walking around with their smartphones in their pockets.
Yeah. Next, it was, what did they say before? It causes cancer if you hold the cell phone up to your ear. Remember, it was brain cancer. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that. And maybe it does. Maybe it did. That's why we all got earpieces, right?
Right. Absolutely. Got closer to our brain with the earpiece. Anyway, Demon Hunter Shadow Nation, without further ado,
dun, dun, dun.
Tonight's guest. Uh-oh. You ready for this big one?
Of course.
Guys, tonight's guest, Shadow Nation, author of Boroughs of the Dead, New York City's Ghost Stories, Andrea Jane stops by. She's also the owner of Boroughs of the Dead Tour Company, which is also Ghost Stories of New York City. We find out what haunts the Big Apple tonight as we take a bite out of its most famous ghost stories with author, owner, CEO of Boroughs of the Dead Walking Tours, Andrea Janes. Huh? Get that? We take a bite out of the Big Apple.
Oh, you're so clever, Sean.
I don't
So
know.
clever.
I am. Tonight, guys, Andrea Janes, author, Boroughs of the Dead, owner, Boroughs of the Dead, Macabre New York City walking tour, stops by tonight. Only the best on your Mystifying Oracle Radio, G&D show. Oh,
Hey, Sean, there was a time when there was a show on that you and I both watched every week.
Yeah.
That involved, Walking Dead.
Oh. What show was that?
And when that show is on, you and I usually give out our weekly zombie updates on whether or not people have to be worried that the zombies are coming after us.
Yes. We do a
And
zombie
during
alert.
that update, we give people information coming out to us from the CDC and OSHA and just about every place that's out there that could lead to some kind of information about the dead rising from the grave. And when we do that, we find out a lot about illnesses and diseases.
Yes.
Going around.
Real stuff.
And during the off season, even though we're not doing these reports, Sean and I still keep up on this information.
Gotta be ready.
One of the things that came to me today, Sean,
Yeah.
from AP News, is the chikungunya virus.
Okay.
And folks, I'm sure I'm saying that one wrong, and I
Chikungunya.
apologize to all the mosquitoes who are carrying this virus. The CHIKUNGUNYA.
Okay.
Chikungunya virus. Has been confirmed in the United States and the Virgin Islands now.
Oh.
This nasty mosquito-borne virus that has been spreading rapidly in the Caribbean has made its way to the U.S., Virgin Islands, and North Carolina.
Nice.
Authorities say. It is like I said, mosquito-borne virus that looks like it may have also started to spread into the Tennessee area.
Okay.
It causes severe stomach cramps, high fever, and in a few cases, possibly death. But this summer, it has already caused. It says here in the Caribbean, it says possibly 9 million.
Holy cow.
Not deaths, but occurrences of it.
Okay.
So, this is something that we should, I think, look into. As of June 6th, Pan America Health Organization recorded about 135,000 suspected and confirmed cases in the Western Hampshire's first locally transmitted.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got to forgive me, folks. This just got sent to me, so I'm trying to read it
This
while I'm
just
going
in.
over it here. I should have gotten a chance to look at it before the show. But in the Caribbean, 135,000 cases as of June 5th. I don't know what that 9 million came from. That was probably another report that. Forget I said it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say that, the zombie apocalypse thing, the reason everybody's involved with that right now is because there's a very real possibility of something happening like that.
Oh, definitely. I guess they suspect that it could infect America with up to 9 million cases. I'm sorry about that before.
Oh, great.
And definitely, Sean, imagine if some kind of virus like this that, affected people, swelled the brain, caused similar reactions to, say, there's no reason a virus couldn't cause the same reactions in people that, say, bath salts cause.
Exactly. And we all know what that
swells the brain and creates that kind of euphoria and then makes you drop, who knows?
So what do you think? You think the mosquitoes are going to tear us up this summer or what?
You know what? I'm fortunate up here in New England to say that we had a horrible mosquito summer last year. This year it's not quite as bad, I think, due to the extremely cold winter, but due to the incredibly wet spring, these mosquitoes have a lot of places to breed.
Right.
Folks, I'm going to go out on a limb and remind you, in case you didn't know, be sure to walk around your house, dump out any empty flower pots that may have filled up with water, any place that mosquitoes might breed. We don't want to give these guys any new places to actually start spreading this disease. So take it in your own hands, folks. Keep the mosquito breeding areas down, especially with all this rain we've been having lately, and wear your bug spray.
Yeah, you got to. And did you remember back in the old days, the state used to take care of spraying the neighborhoods? Remember that?
Oh, yeah. The trucks would pull up and they'd drive past once to give you a warning to get off the street. Yeah. And then you'd run inside your house and watch the trucks drive by and spray all the trees and everything like that.
Oh, I'm sure that was good for all of us, you know.
Well, the one thing I thought was funny was I grew up on a farm, and the farm was way off the main road, right. And there was a lot of swampland and stuff back there, but they never came and sprayed back there where the mosquitoes were actually breeding.
Yeah, I even called the Mayor's Action Center here in town 2 years in a row. Haven't seen one truck. Now, they still do it out for the rich people. Not saying that I'm not rich, but they still do it for the richy neighborhoods. They'll spray and stuff. So, I don't know. Maybe it was toxic when we were kids or something. Maybe like in The Walking Dead, they said we're all infected. Maybe we're infected right now, Nathan.
That could be.
We don't know.
We're all actually slowly turning into mosquitoes.
Slowly. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners around the world, without further ado, again, in the news.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's it. Today's strange news, guys. It's always fresh. It's always exciting. A little bit kooky. Always fun. And it starts right now. Bam, bam. Demon Hunter first up tonight. Edwin Toberta accused of sex with the pool raft yet again.
Well, hold on, Sean. Before you start reading that story, let's remind folks that the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show in the news, Weird News, this is where Sean and I pick our stories out of the paper by the titles. We don't get a chance to read them in advance, which means we make a lot of mistakes. Every time we make a mistake, you take a drink. Yeah. If you are planning to drive or are actually driving right now listening to us on 102.7 The Hog, don't play the G&D drinking game. And if you have anything important coming up, like I said, we make a lot of mistakes. So listen responsibly.
Drink responsibly and listen responsibly. That was so good. Edwin Toberta, drink up, guys. I know that's not how you spell or pronounce it. Accused of sex with pool raft. Here's the part that gets me in the title, Demon Hunter. Yet again. I knew you would like that one, Sean. Yeah, I thought it was amazing. The Huffington Post, our good friends there. Hillary Hansen was the reporter. This guy definitely has a type. Okay. Edwin Toberta, drink up, 35, was arrested in Hamilton, Ohio. What's going on in Ohio here?
I tell you.
I know. Slender man, now this. On Wednesday for allegedly having sex with an inflatable pool raft by the side of the road. Fox 19 reports this is the fourth time Toberta has been arrested for this kind of offense. Did they say the fourth time? Oh my God, Demon Hunter. Lock up your pool rafts, my friends. You know what I mean? You got.
I wonder if like any of the pool rafts have shown up at his house. Like, this is your baby.
Great googly moogly.
He went to jail, but he was arrested again in 2013 for having sex with an exact same raft. I guess he likes those. I wonder if it's big cushion rafts or, there's all kinds. Is it like the one that looks like an alligator, maybe?
Well, the question is, Sean, when making love to an inflatable raft, do you need a rubber?
They always got those little small holes there.
Maybe that's what makes them feel comfortable about it.
What a doink. Okay, you ready?
Go.
All right. He went to jail, they say, in 2013 for having sex with the exact same raft, which he inexplicably not been thrown out. The case has not been thrown out. The 2013 offense occurred at Toberta's own... Oh, no, sorry, I read that wrong. The raft has not been thrown out. The 2013 offense occurred at Toberta's, drink up guys, own home, but he was charged with and pleaded guilty to public indecency because it happened within the view of children during the day. Come on, man. Was he in a public pool?
Well, it said his own home.
Oh, you guys got to look this up. You should see the picture of this guy. He even wearing a t-shirt says, "I'm out of my mind. Please leave a message." Oh, it's too. You can't write this stuff. Well, actually, you can. They wrote it. It is unclear if Toberga's most recent alleged offense took place with the same pool raft in 2002. Toberga was arrested for publicly pleasuring himself with an inflatable pumpkin. What's up with this guy? It should be on Obsessions. Nah, that object wasn't a pool toy, though, because, come on, a man needs a little variety. In his newest mugshot, Toberga is wearing a t-shirt that reads, "I'm out of my mind. Please leave a message." Yeah, and you guys have to see, wow, the pride of America there. Edwin Toberga accused of sex with a pool raft yet again. Jesus, Demon Hunter. Apparently the mosquitoes got to this guy already.
Apparently, they've spread faster than we thought.
Oh, my God.
Oh
my God.
It's pretty bad.
I can't believe that.
But hey, Sean, I want to send this little more serious note out to everybody.
Okay.
If you notice, I'm a little off my game tonight.
No.
I've been very sick over the last few days,
Yes.
and under doctor's orders, I was not able to drink this weekend, so I was not able to get my game together. No, as I normally do for the show.
All right.
I didn't have my booze, Sean. I didn't have my booze.
I can go on with the next one. I've had my coffee. I'm ready to go.
Go ahead.
All right. Next story, up to bat. Mysterious deaths of college students blamed on Russian Yeti. For you guys who don't know what a Yeti is, it's a Bigfoot.
Of course it is.
It's a big feet. We always got the big feet on this. Maybe one day we can book Bigfoot and he'll come on the show.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I can't
First
find
people to interview Bigfoot.
I can't
so
find it.
Bigfoot, how have you been?
We should have him on. Anyway, investigators baffled by the unexplained and gruesome deaths of Russian college students decades ago have come up with a new suspect. An unlikely one. The Yeti. On February 2nd, 1959, 9 college students claimed the icy slopes of, drink up guys, Daltlov Pass in the Ural Mountains of Russia. They never made it out alive. They climbed them. Sorry, I put claimed. They never made it out alive. The students' bodies were found with broken ribs and fractured skulls. In one grotesque case, a woman's eyes had been gouged out and her tongue was missing. Liars! No, I'm serious. It really did happen. At the time of the tragedy, investigators cryptically declared the Daltlov Pest, Daltlov, drink heavy, past deaths were due to the compelling natural forces, according to new television documentary re-examining the case. That's what they say. They say it was natural causes now due to the elements on the mountain. Since the massacre occurred, I don't know how your eyes gouge out, but due to the frozen whatever. Maybe it was Mr. Frost, Jack Frost. I don't know. Since the massacre, Demon Hunter, occurred during the Cold War, some have speculated the students were killed by top-secret Soviet weapon. Others claim an indigenous tribe lashed out at the hikers for trespassing. However, the murder site doesn't seem to jibe with those explanations. A new documentary, Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives, airing June 1st on the Discovery Channel, explores the remote possibility, or it aired on June 1st on the Discovery Channel, explores the remote possibility that a menk, M-E-N-K, I don't know what that is, Demon Hunter, the Russian word for Yeti, okay, now we know, may have been responsible.
Well, Sean, I think it's about time that we take our next break.
Let's take our break.
And we're back.
Okay, Shadow Nation listeners around the world, welcome back to Misspying Oracle Radio, your Ghost Man and Demon Hunter show. We're right in the middle of today's strange news, trying to get a hang on this breaks. We're gonna have
Sean, I will admit, you told me we probably shouldn't have done a show this week, but I just couldn't bring myself not to do it because of our guest tonight. And again, I want to say I'm off my game, but I gotta read this next news story.
You gotta do it. Anyway, guys, Yeti in Russia's killing teenagers. Gotta look for that.
Yeti in Russia killing teenagers. For those of you just tuning in, you missed that.
Okay.
You can hear it back on our archives. So, Sean, this party's dead. Daughters throw bizarre party funeral for their mother, including her own body propped up at the table under a disco ball with cigarettes and whiskey in hand.
Ooh.
Miriam Burbank died on June 1st at 53 years of age.
Right.
Her daughters wanted her funeral to reflect how full of life she was.
Oh.
They decided on propping their mother's body up at a table stocked with cigarettes and booze. This is the second New Orleans funeral in a year to include the body of the deceased
Drink.
set up at the table with their own smokes and booze at their side. This comes from Mail Online. A New Orleans woman was laid to rest early this month, but only after one final party during which her body was displayed sitting at the table that was fully stocked with beer, whiskey, and menthol cigarettes. But no party is complete without a flashing disco ball, and 53-year-old Miriam Burbank's funeral service had one of those as well.
Right.
Burbank died on June 1st. Her funeral, when the funeral director, have a drink folks, at the Cumbernat Funeral Home asked Burbank's two daughters what their mother's wishes were, the two women decided they wanted her funeral to reflect the way she lived. So the daughters came up with the interesting concept of having their mother's body displayed, as though she was at a party.
That's it.
Where presumably she sat smoking a menthol cigarette while drinking a beer and whiskey under a disco ball.
How did they?
To honor Burbank's love of New Orleans.
Yeah.
To honor Burbank's love of the New Orleans Saints football team, her fingernails were painted gold and black, the team uniform colors. According to WGNO, Burbank's daughters said that other family members liked the idea and thought it was a very fitting goodbye to their mother. This is the second time in a year New Orleans has hosted a rather taboo funeral service. Earlier this year, there was, in April, New Orleans socialite Mickey Esterling had a similar funeral service with a cigarette holder in hand and a glass of champagne in her fist. More than 1,000 people attended that popular 83-year-old socialite's funeral.
Socialites, man, that's big. I wonder where they can find these morticians to do this stuff.
Well, it is New Orleans, Sean. They're used to having the bodies above ground.
That's true. We've been there. We've seen it.
Been there, done that.
We have done that many times. Demon Hunter, one last story, if you will allow me, sir.
Of course, sir.
Okay. Here we go, guys. Still in the news segment of your G&D show. Huffington Post, again, this comes from their crime section, Demon Hunter.
Well, was your photo in there?
Here we go. You know how we're always talking about zombies and the zombie apocalypse, and you just talked about the mosquitoes.
Yes.
Spreading the viruses. Man accused of eating wife's lips. Huh? This stuff's real, guys. It's happening out there. Okay, here we go. Man accused of eating wife's lips. Get your beer ready, guys. A former employee of Swedish Medical University is accused of cutting his wife's lips off and eating them. He didn't eat them off of her. He cut them off. The local says the Swedish newspaper reported that the unnamed man allegedly flew into a rage after he became suspicious that his much younger wife was having an affair. It was honor-related. He doesn't seem to regret a thing. He believes she insulted him. A source with knowledge of the matter told a newspaper, according to the local. Weird Swedish newspaper. It was as for why the man allegedly ate the lips, AFP reports that he didn't want the lips to be able to be sewn back on, according to the same unnamed source.
Well, couldn't he have burned them or something?
I don't know. It was widely reported that the suspect was an employee of the Karolinski Institute, but the medical university released a statement distancing itself from the man. Oh, I wonder why. It is, of course, a very tragic story, University Director Ben Norvington said in the release, but since the researcher in question is not an employee of Karolinski Institute, we are unable to consider legal action. The university explains that the suspect was once a longtime employee, but now works at another university. That's who's teaching your children right now, guys. Thanks, Dad, for putting up that college tuition there. He does, however, still collaborate to a certain degree with his former research group. That's what the release said, or Huffington Post. He's a collaborator. It's always
Sean, why are people eating people?
I don't know. It's always the educated ones, you know?
Where did this come from?
I don't know. That was in the news, guys. Strange news.
In the news.
In the news for the genius.
Hey, Sean, we have a few minutes. You want to just talk quickly about a legend that I found?
Oh, yes. Let's go into the Legend X series, Demon Hunter.
Yay.
Guys, weekly we do a series. It's a G&D original, which means Nathan and myself came up with it. From the Frogman to the Yeti to the swamp creatures. We travel the United States, finding each week a new legend for you to find out if they're fact or fiction. Tonight's Legend X series, legend is
The Racetrack Sailing Stones.
Ooh, we got some pictures of them up. This is creepy. Sir,
you know, it's weird too, Sean, because this is a legend, but we also know it to be true.
That's true.
Legend comes from what's making these rocks move.
What's making them move? I don't know.
For those of you who don't know, the Racetrack Sailing Stones, rocks moving mysteriously on their own. Well, this seems to be the truth when you go out to Death Valley, California.
Oh, nice name. Sorry.
Yeah. The ground is so soft that the lightest tread left on the ground will stay in the path for years.
Wow.
The super soft earth is also 1,000 feet thick. So there's little chance that any shifting of the earth is causing these rocks to move. However, if you go out to Death Valley and find the Racetrack Sailing Stones, you will find large treads behind each one, which for years people have been trying to figure out what causes them to move. People don't watch the rocks move. However, if you leave and come back, you will find the rock often in a different place with a tread behind it. Several people have tried using wind-blowing machines to see if, due to the extreme soft earth, a strong wind could cause them to move, as well as trying to discover if the occasional rain that does occur causes the earth to shift underneath.
Right.
None of these have proven to be the case 100% as of yet. They have caused rocks to move using these techniques, of course, from time to time, but never with the tread length that they had discovered behind rocks moving naturally.
Right.
So, Sean, what's causing these rocks to move?
I don't know. Yeah, it is fascinating. There's been a couple speculations made by people, Demon Hunter, because, as you mentioned, I think you mentioned, it is on the dry bed of what was a lake at one time.
True.
And they say that it's so flat surface down there that when it rains, it causes these rocks to slide across the, I don't know. It's still weird to me. I mean, why doesn't rocks move when it rains here? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that. But apparently, the rain maybe comes up, and the water comes out of the lake bed, and it just kind of transports these rocks in a straight line.
You know what really amazed me about this story, Sean, was I couldn't find any Indian legends about them.
Right.
You would think a place where rocks move on their own, there'd be some huge Indian legends referring to them.
Yeah,
I searched them up, didn't find any.
But didn't
Say good night, Popo.
Yeah, didn't they have a how long's it been around? Did you say that?
The lake bed? No, I did not say that.
Yeah, I didn't mention it in the story, so maybe that's why they didn't mention it to the Native Americans.
Of course, in a place called Death Valley, for obvious reasons, maybe the Indians just didn't go there.
Right, yeah, Death Valley. I heard it's pretty bad out there, but people actually live in Death Valley. So
more power to him, Sean. More power to him.
It was a hot place, I'm thinking. Anyway, guys, Legend X this week, the mysterious moving stones. That gives whole new meaning to pet rock.
Here, boy, here.
Fetch, Stony. I want a pet rock called Stoner.
Ooh.
Wouldn't that be cool? That would be the ultimate. Demon Hunter, we got a long song tonight. It runs a little bit longer. Black 47, our good friends. Name of the song, Where Ya At? Big Fella. That's the name of the song. They'll be on tonight. But most importantly, before we go to break, Demon Hunter, tonight's guest, author of the book Borough of the Dead, New York City Ghost Stories, Andrea Jane stops by, guys, to tell us what's going on in the shadows of the Big Apple. We take a bite out of New York's most notorious and famous ghost stories tonight with owner of Boroughs of the Dead Ghost Walks, Andrea Janes. Tonight, Shadow Nation. Yes, I can't wait. We're getting some great authors on lately. Have you noticed?
We are, and it's always fun. Like you said a while back, Sean, it's always fun when we actually go out and manage to bring these guests in who are running these tours, so our listeners know where to go and find them.
That's right.
But Sean, so that we can get this song in before we need to take our next break, why don't we listen to some music?
That's it. Shadow Nation, stay tuned. Tonight's band, Black 47. We'll be right back.
Okay, this is Sid Haig, and you're listening to Ghostman and Demon Hunter Show. Scary shit, huh?
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only mystifying oracle of radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter Show. Tonight's guest, we're joined by author of the Boroughs of the Dead, New York City Ghost Stories, also the owner of Borough of the Dead Ghost Walking Tours, Andrea Janes. Andrea, what's going on tonight?
That's the most enthusiastic introduction I've ever gotten.
I'm a happy person. It's Father's Day today.
Sean's feeling all energetic and stuff.
Yeah.
Aw, do you have kids?
Yeah, I do. I have 3 kids, actually. I got a pair of socks today. I got and my 5-year-old, soon to be 5-year-old, she got me they did something at daycare where they asked them questions about their dad, where she asked me, she said, "What's his favorite color?" And she said blue and yellow or something like that. And she said, "What's he known for?" And it was something like cooking spaghetti or something, nothing that I've ever done, you know what I mean? And and then she said, "How old is your father?" And she put 5. So I'm 5 years old today, Andrea. Hey, you know what? I was looking at the Big Apple and all these crazy cool things that are out there. Nathan and myself, we were just out there. He probably told you, filming a TV pilot thing, and we went to the Hudson Valley, which to me was amazing. I mean, Sleepy Hollow. We were in Sleepy Hollow. Now, your ghost tours, Boroughs of the Dead, the macabre New York City walking tour. When I come out there, because I am, or any of our listeners, thousands of listeners around the world come out there, what are we going to expect?
Well, the first 3 rows will get wet. We are all outside all the time. So a ghost tour in the streets of New York City, a lot of people are conflating the ghost tour with the ghost hunt, sort of in their heads. And they're thinking, we're going to grab EMF meters and go around and go into a haunted house, and maybe I'll have a Confederate, like, in a corner jump out in a cape and yell poop. But as fun as that sounds, the ghost tours that I do they're more story-oriented. So, you know, I'm a writer, and I love to tell a good ghost story, and it's harder to do than you would think. But the funny thing is, ghost stories are very universal. I've never met anybody who doesn't like them or at least have some interest in them. And it's rare to meet a person who doesn't have one of their own. If you did and you talk, eventually there's always going to be, well, you know, my aunt one time, this guy, you know, there's always a ghost in every closet, so to speak. So everybody's got one. Everybody understands the concept of a ghost. And so what we do is we tell stories, and we go to places in New York City where things have happened over the years, again and again, that are never explained, and we don't really understand what they are, and I convey to the best of my abilities what we think they might be. I don't claim to have any theories definitively as to what those are or whether they even truly exist, if we're maybe being fooled by some kind of collective hallucination, but I relay that information, kind of like a medium in a way. And we go around and we talk and we tell stories, and sometimes, you know, ambulances disrupt things and it gets loud, and sometimes homeless people come up and hug us, and that's exciting. And, you know, it's New York City. There's always stuff going on in New York City, and then sometimes you get funny looks because there's a bunch of people standing around and I'm talking, and people are very curious about that and curious about what's going on. But, you know, in reality, what we're doing is we're looking at historical things, and we're trying to see if, in some way, that history isn't still with us now.
Yeah. Well, I always said with the history on that, you tell a kid history in school and they go, oh, geez. You tell them haunted history, everybody sets right up.
Exactly, yes.
So I love
and I mean, everybody hates history and everybody loves ghosts. So that's kind of, you know, it's how I sneak it in there. It's like sticking the vegetables in the, you know, in the lasagna. You stick them under the meat. The thing is, there are a number of tours I do that are also just historical that, you know, don't even have a paranormal element to them. And those are really, really fun, too, because think about New York, if you didn't think about it, there were pirates, public executions, plagues, riots, fires, murder. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that once you dig, you can find a lot of scandal and a lot of weird stuff in the city. So I don't know. I always have fun with the history part of it, even if there are no ghosts.
Now, with your, a lot of what you do taking place, say, down in Greenwich Village, there's got to be a lot of movement around the House of Death.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, the House of Death is kind of funny now because there's so many ghost tours that stop by the House of Death, and sometimes you'll bump into each other, or there'll be 2 or 3 groups in front of the House of Death, and it's somewhere between awkward and hilarious. It's just always interesting to bump into other groups. But I also wonder about the people who live in the House of Death, like how they feel about this phenomenon that's happened in the last 5 years. I don't know. I'm going to say they don't like it. That's going to be my guess. But
yeah. You brought up a good point, though, Andrea. A lot of these people that are these private residences, how do they feel when the tour goes past them?
Well, you're definitely respectful of people that live there. Like, for example, I've got this little audio box thing. It's like a little voice amplifier that helps me be heard in the streets, which are obviously very loud. And, when you're in front of somebody's home, you turn it off, or you turn it way down. And you try not to block their stoop. You try not to get too much in their way. But ultimately, they know where they're living, and they know that it's a house of historic interest. And, that's kind of, if you can afford to live in Greenwich Village in a beautiful historic landmark house or whatever, then, maybe no complaints, and that's that. It's okay. There's going to be people who want to look at your house. And I think a lot of people take it in stride. Some think it's funny, some probably find it mildly annoying. But there's this one house in Greenwich Village. It's not haunted. It's number 17 Grove Street, and it is historic. It's from 1822, and it's one of the very few wooden houses still standing in the village today. So tour groups go in front of it and buy it all the time. And this summer they put up a sign that says, "Tour guides, please keep your voices down." So obviously, it's not just people on the ghost tour routes that get annoyed. It's people who live in historic houses that get annoyed. But really funny Catholic exercise. I like it makes me laugh.
Now, what about Amityville? Everybody around the world's always fascinated with Amityville. And here recently, within the last year, it went up for sale. Of course, they were asking an ungodly amount for it. Do you deal with Amity that much?
Well, that's a lot of fun. I told you, it's interesting to do tours in Long Island or in the Hudson Valley or somewhere not in the city. That'd be a lot of fun. Logistically, I don't know if you could do a walking tour, but as far as Amityville is concerned, I've been my mind has been kind of poisoned when it comes to Amityville because I read a book by Lord Auerbach.
Yeah,
and you guys know Lord Auerbach, probably, right?
He was just on our show 5 years ago.
Hey, Andrea, you're sounding a little blurry. Are you on a speakerphone?
I am not on a speakerphone.
Okay, let me just see.
I'm on a regular phone.
Let me see if I can correct it here on my end. And go ahead.
Okay.
Are you holding it to your cheek?
You can do it.
Yeah, I've always been interested in the 5 points. Ever since I seen the Gangs of New York, I didn't even know about it, dude. And then I seen the Gangs of New York, and I'm thinking people are dying, heads are getting cut off, there's blood, there's gunshots, just some medieval stuff. Now, if you're brave enough to go down to that part of New York right now, what's the story on that? Is there any ghost stories?
There are no official ghost stories that I've heard about the 5 points, but just because I haven't heard them doesn't mean they're there. I'm sure there are, and I'm sure there are plenty of them. The thing about the 5 points is it's a park now, right? And, 5 points is another place that's filled with a lot of myths. Like, just going back to Amityville for a second, there's a lot of myths, and then there's some people that are like, well, no, none of that actually happened. In the 5 points, there's one historian named Tyler Enbinder who wrote a really great book that kind of says, a lot of the stuff that you saw in the movie didn't really happen, which probably kind of is a surprise to nobody. But there wasn't that much like decapitating and swords and broad axes and things like that. That being said, there were certainly riots. In 1857, around July 4th, there was a riot that lasted 3 days. There were barricades on Baylor Street. There were untold numbers of deaths, and we don't know how many there were because the bodies would be kind of, spirited away before the official death count could be taken.
Right.
People not necessarily wanting people to know their loved ones had died in that riot, so they would kind of take those bodies away. So it's a mix of fact and fiction. There certainly weren't people, draped in rags, huddled in corners using skulls as candelabras, but there was certainly a lot of squalor, there was a lot of poverty, there was a lot of death, certainly, but it didn't have a higher murder rate than the rest of the city. It had a lot of petty crimes, vice, quality of life stuff, prostitution, public drunkenness, pickpocketing, stuff like that. But it wasn't like a murder at night or anything like that. So that doesn't mean that it isn't a lot of fun to talk about the Five Points. It is, and it's a great place.
Yeah.
In terms of ghost stories, though, that's definitely an area of ongoing research. It would be really interesting to see if there were any ghost stories there. And the whole area now is, of course, Chinatown. And that is a fascinating concept because, the Chinese belief in ghosts, they're very sincere about their belief in ghosts.
Right.
And I know there has to be a lot of ghost stories in Chinatown. I don't know them. I would love to find out and learn about them. But I can only imagine there are dozens and dozens of fantastic ghost stories. If only there was a way for me to get to them.
Whatever.
The thing with my tours is it's ongoing research, So
You're holding out, guys. Listen, listeners, that's Andrea James's next book, Ghost of Chinatown. You have to buy it.
I wish. That'd be amazing.
Now, Andrea, in this house, the number one New York ghost story that we love is, and it's because it's so macabre, the Triangle Shirt Fire.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Macabre.
Well, can you tell me the ghost story that you tell or haven't told? And I'll ask you why, or I'll tell you why I'm asking this in a second, but tell me the ghost story of the Triangle as you know it and as you've heard it.
What's that?
How have you heard the ghost story of Triangle? Because you said it's one of your favorite.
Well, it's one of the favorites in this house because my wife is so fascinated with it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, of course, everything I've learned about, I've watched the History Channel specials on it, and I just find it so interesting. But I also have, someone who lives right next to the building is a friend of mine who's constantly talking to me about how they're constantly hearing noises that they can't explain. So that draws it in. Like you said, everybody has, has a skeleton in their closet. They know somebody with a ghost story. In this case, right. I'm actually close to somebody who lives near the building. Nothing bad has ever happened there, but of course they also say that they've heard these sounds that they can't explain. And so it leads us to being more interested about the Triangle Shirt Fire.
That's interesting because, the reason I asked you is because there's a lot of unsubstantiated kind of rumors about that building, but today I haven't found a really good, satisfying, verifiable ghost story about the Triangle. There's certainly a lot of energy to that place, of course, because of what happened there. But I have yet to come across somebody who's had an apparitional experience there or any kind of really verifiable experience other than just kind of a feel, But I would be very curious to talk to your friend and to interview them and kind of get an exact kind of pinpoint that location. Because this is another thing, ongoing research. I've kind of mined books and the internet as much as I can and secondary sources. But at this point, what I'm really interested in is talking to New Yorkers who have ghost stories, real ghost stories, in their homes, and speaking with them and almost compiling like an oral history of real ghost stories. That, I think, is my next project. Ghost of Chinatown will come after that, of course. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Hey, Andrea, I was listening to one of your interviews, sis, and one of the people on the tours, I think, was doing the interview, and they asked you, do you believe in ghosts? And you had said, I've been a lot of places, but I've never seen or heard or even seen a teacup get thrown across the room. Has your experiences differed since then?
That's really, really funny. Yeah, for some reason, my one goal in life is to see a teacup move across the table. I really want to see that. Has it changed since then? No. I have never seen a ghost, never seen an apparition, never seen anything move or heard anything. I have, what I think I have been touched by, like felt someone brush up against me. Mm-hmm. And that happened actually a year ago on Saturday. It was a summer solstice. It was last year, and it was at the Merchants House Museum. And I was standing in the front parlor, these pocket doors that connect the front and the rear parlor, and I was standing in a spot that I've sat in before during lectures. And there was something about that spot that makes me feel just sad for some reason, and it's illogical. I mean, it was a beautiful summer evening. I was in a great mood, but this sad feeling came over me, and it has come over me at that spot before, at that exact spot. And then as I'm standing there, I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt, it's warm, all of the shutters are closed and all of the windows are closed. There are no drafts in the Merchant House Museum, and there's no air conditioning. Mm-hmm. And as I'm standing there feeling that odd, sad feeling, something brushes up against my left arm. And it brushes by me, and it feels exactly like somebody in the subway brushing up against you. It doesn't feel like a draft. It has a sort of mass to it, and it feels like it has intention, and it moves past me and to the left in this purposeful way, and I know that it's moving away to the left. I can feel it, even if I can't see it. And it was a very, very disconcerting feeling. I felt very overwhelmed. It was very intense, and I never felt anything like that before, and I wanted to leave the house. But, I stuck it out. I finished the tour. I was actually taking the tour. I wasn't leading it. I didn't want to be disruptive or be, that girl. So I waited till the tour was over, and then I mentioned it. And the guide who was giving that tour thought it was funny because when I walked in that evening, I was one of the last people to come into the house that evening for the tour. She said that she and the other docent had heard footsteps walking on Cedar Treadwell's floor in one of the upper bedrooms. Now, Cedar Treadwell, the patriarch of that family, has a portrait that's hanging right in the front parlor, and that's exactly where I was standing when I felt something move. So that's all I've got. That's really the closest that I have to a personal ghostly experience, but it was very intense. It was very strange.
You just put your tour guide voice on us. You go, of that family. That was so cool.
Yeah.
We got a free
tour guide voice.
we got a free trip. We got a free trip around the block, Demon Hunter. She says, of that family at the time.
Well, that's Sean. You and I have been on other people's shows, and in the middle of it, we've started talking like this, and they're like, "Oh, they went into radio voice."
We lost Andrea. She's going into tour mode. No, but hey, there's so many.
I didn't know I did that. That's funny.
There's so many places out there. I mean, I was looking up. There's a place on 59 West and 44th Street, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a hotel. Aguaniguin Hotel? The Bridge Cap? Yeah.
Algonquin, yes.
Excuse my stupidity.
That's okay. I'll forgive you this.
It's on 44th Street, right? What's that?
Yeah, 44th. And West 59.
I think that's Algonquin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you cover that one?
No, that's a little bit off the route. I don't do Midtown or the Theater District or Hell's Kitchen, not because I don't want to. It's just that I haven't written or developed a tour in that part of the city yet. And there's another company that does a tour of that neighborhood. So, I don't want to just jump on that when someone else is already doing it. I'd rather explore other combinations of routes and neighborhoods. So, maybe I've had a very personal connection to, say, Broadway or theaters, and I might want to do it. But there's a number of people that have a more personal connection to that area. So I like to do things that are meaningful to me because I think it shows when you're doing the tour if you actually care about what you're talking about.
Definitely.
So I tend to, to stick to stuff that I'm genuinely personally interested in. It's not that I'm not interested in Theo Ghost or the Algonquin. I mean, I am, but there's just stuff that kind of grabs me more, and I tend to stick with that.
Hey, Sean, Andrea,
we do this stuff like twice a week.
We have to take a 2-second break, Sean, so that our friends over at 102.7 The Hog can fit in the commercials.
Sounds good. Guys, we'll be right back. Welcome back, Shadow Nation, the one, the only, Mystifying Oracle Radio. We are talking to tonight's guest, Andrea Jane. She's the author of the book, Borough of the Dead, New York City Ghost Stories, also the owner of the ghost tours, Borough of the Dead. Andrea, let's get back to it. You're like, where were we at?
Where do we end up?
Hey, what's the
break in history?
That's it. We're still trying to get the hang of this. We went back to FM, and we have to take these breaks, and we have live listeners, and we also have the FM listeners, and they got to put their commercials in. So, they can take up to 5 minutes doing their commercials. We take 2 seconds, so.
Well, you're very efficient that way.
See? We're so efficient. But we went to, like I said before, I was so excited because we had to go to Manhattan. We had to do some filming, and I kept telling the production people, listen, is there any way Nathan and I could get out to Sleepy Hollow just for a night? And they were like, no, can't do it. And finally they said, well, you guys have a whole day. You can do what you want. We're going to put you up down there at a place. So we go out to the Hudson Valley. I'm like a fat kid eating a cupcake. Wasn't I, Demon Hunter? I was so excited. We're driving, and it's so gorgeous. The Hudson Valley, the rolling hills, it's so different than being in the city. And all of a sudden, you roll up on that little town of Sleepy Hollow. And it's funny, you were talking about people can see the passion. Me and Nathan were so excited. We were jumping around the place. We got out in the cemetery. Of course, it closes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 2. I don't know what's that all about. But, have you been out to see the Sleepy Hollow and all that?
Yes, I have, and it's funny that you talk about how excited you were because when I took the train up there, I was jumping around and I was so excited, and the conductor's punching my ticket, and I'm acting like a child. And he looked at me and he's like, "Have you ever been outside of the city before?" And I was just like, "Yes, I have. This is so special. I've been waiting my whole life to go to Tarrytown. Literally, like when I was an 8-year-old, I read Sheila the Great by Judy Blume, which is like this book where a kid goes to Tarrytown for the summer, and she's kind of freaked out about it because of these legends of Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman. And as a child, I was like, I want to go to there. And now, I went up there, last year, I was like 34 years old. I was so excited, and I felt like that 8-year-old again because I was like, I've literally been waiting 3 decades to come here. And it was amazing. It was so cool. Did you guys ever get into the cemetery? You said it was closed by the time you got there?
We did, with special permission. We would not have snuck into the location ever.
Special permission. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's incredible. And then just seeing Washington Irving's grave is such a thrill, and seeing the bridge.
But
and I love the way they have the horseman sculpture too.
Yeah. Now I looked up because Nathan and I, when we were filming, of course, we argue constantly. We're like an old married couple, and he says, Headless Horseman's totally fiction, da 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 da. And of course, that's the general consensus that Washington Irving, it was fictitious or whatever. But then I read another story, which says, and you might have seen this. You can look it up. You guys can Google it. It wasn't that hard. Where Washington Irving, when he came here, it was right after the Revolution or something like that. I don't know. And he had heard there was a story going around about an old Hessian soldier that, of course, if you guys don't know, the Hessians were the German soldiers that came over as assassins or whatever. Anyway, I know Andrea. I didn't think Nathan.
No, I don't know that. I mean, this sounds vaguely familiar, but.
Well, it was, the Headless Horseman, of course, lost his head due to what? Cannonball fire during their revolution, fighting the Americans. Now, in this story that was told, I guess, around the village of Sleepy Hollow for a long time, was this Hessian soldier was left on his own, to provide for himself, which Nathan brought up in the past. Of course, a lot of people don't know when the Hessians came to fight for the king, they said, if you guys want food and water and all that stuff, you take it from the Americans, the Patriots, and that, made them kill more. But this one Hessian apparently flipped sides, fought for us, saved a kid from a burning house, and they kind of accepted him, but the Dutch people out there, whatever faith they were at the time, they wouldn't let him marry into or be a part of it, but they accepted him, and he lived outside during the Revolution, outside of the village, and while he was fighting, his head came off from a cannonball fire, and they buried him right outside of the old church there and all that stuff, because they couldn't put him in the lot with the rest of them because he wasn't, accepted by the church or whatever. Now, that's what I heard, and they said that the Headless Horseman's still out there, the Van Tassels and all that stuff. So, I don't know. Maybe Irving heard that.
Well, you didn't see his grave, though, right? Like, you haven't.
There is no grave for the Headless Horseman. There's no gravestone.
Well, I believe it for a couple of reasons. Because Irving, he took a lot from real life. Like the Van Tassels, that's a real family. We all know Ichabod Crane was a real dude. He definitely picked and chose from what he was hearing around town at the time. He also drew a lot on local myths and legends, like Rip Van Winkle. There's like a whole local legend about Henry Hudson and the Catskill Gnomes, where they say that Henry Hudson went up into the mountains and he started playing this game of nine pins, which is like bowling with these gnomes, and they gave him some mystery drinks that made him sleep forever and ever. So, I mean, Irving was definitely, like all writers, stealing, from left and right, which we just do. We just wonder constantly. And also, this is the thing I say on my tours a lot when people say, is this story true or is it legend? Like Peter Stuyvesant's grave at St. Mark's in the Bowery Church. It's this very old New York legend. Who knows when it started or how it started? But the thing is, you have to ask why it started. There must be some small kernel, some little grain of truth in there somewhere that made the first person start to tell that story to the second person and the next person and the next person. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he did draw on reality or at least local lore a little bit for that story.
But what you were talking about with the walking in the footsteps of history, when Nathan and I was standing on the Sleepy Hollow Bridge, and it's more like a small road now. It goes over the river, guys. You can see it, but just standing there by the sign that says this is the place of the, what was mentioned in this. I mean, overwhelming, sort of like going to the battlefield or a battlefield at Gettysburg, something like that. You can feel the electricity through your legs. Now, I don't know if that's from. I mean, I've seen things happen. I have. Nathan and I both have been in paranormal stuff for years. I was brought up in a home that was haunted. So I have had the chance to see things. Not every day, not, invisible lady floating down and screaming in my face. More subtle things that I grew up with. And, excuse me, and EVP.
I'm sorry, Sean, I have to laugh first. Stop for a second so I can laugh, because Sean and subtle, they just don't usually go together.
That's true. But, I do believe ghosts exist, all that stuff. But, I don't know if being out at these locations and being in the presence of this, why you feel this energy, if that's from the energy around you or if it's just from inside, like being in the presence of greatness, history,
Right. Yeah, it's hard to tell. The only kind of controlled experiment you could make would be to put someone who doesn't know what happened there in a place and see if they feel something. So I don't know. Does it come from the fact that you're excited because you're a Washington Irving nerd, or is it being on that day? I don't know. It's hard to tell. I do know that when I'm in a historical place and I get that feel, I feel like I can wrap it around me like a coat or a sweater. Like I can just, I don't know. That's the only way I can describe it. You wrap yourself in it and you're like, I'm here and I can feel it. I don't know if it's all in my head. Who knows?
The funny thing, too, is people's exposure to it. Like you were saying, when Sean and I went down to Sleepy Hollow, he was all excited. But, my family, my mother's Pennsylvania Deutsch, my father's was a Dutch farmer. I can trace, my family back 8 generations to Clauso von Schwundhaven, who came over at the end of the Henry Hudson Brigade to draw maps and buy land for the Dutch.
God bless you.
So it was one of those situations where I grew up with all these stories and I saw all these things. So when we showed up, in Tarrytown and Sean was all jumping around, I'm like, oh yeah, look at this, but it was so funny because we're walking around the town and Sean he literally joked saying I had to bring a Dutchman to Tarrytown because there's no Dutch left in Sleepy Hollow. But, so for me, I walked in, and for me, it was all about the story. It was all about, seeing the locations that inspired Irving. And, of course, the only thing that says, Headless Horseman around there is the Headless Horseman Diner, and that was built like 20 years ago. So
right.
It's...
In the bridge, they got great fish and pizza.
Yes, we had great fish and pizza. Yeah. But, that for me, the excitement was following the history and the story. And Sean was reliving his childhood dream. Yeah. So we took 2 total different views of it. And when we went up to the church, we literally drive into the cemetery, like Sean said. We get in and are told, oh, we're closing. So we had to leave. And after we went outside, realized, well, there's one whole wall section of the cemetery that doesn't have a wall. Yeah. So let's just go check out that part of the cemetery. Right. It's
And Andrea, here's a quick fact. The guy at the pizza parlor, the Sleepy Hollow Pizza and whatever, he said that the Headless Horseman actually ate there. So I'm available for tours if you'd like to hire me. I can, it's a quick... I'm kidding. He didn't. It's a bad attempt at humor.
It's funny. When I was at the cemetery gates, there were these older, I guess, volunteers selling, tchotchkes, like Christmas ornaments and little bits and little things on this table outside the gate. And one of them, this older gentleman was obviously like the biggest Washington Irving super fan. And he turns to me, we're obviously really connecting over this material, and he turns to me and he starts to recite that part from the Headless Horseman where Ichabod Crane is riding and the Headless Horseman is in pursuit, and Ichabod Crane is getting to the bridge, and he recites that part verbatim, and it ends with, "If I can just get to that bridge, I'll be safe." And he did it with so much passion. It put like all these shivers up and down my whole body. I was like, that was incredible. And it just kind of speaking to this whole, like, what your experience is, whether you're living out of childhood fantasy or whether you have a personal, emotional connection to the place, the guide that you're with makes a really, really big difference. And, like, his passion, his recitation of that, the way he loved the material was so exciting to me. And so on a tour that I'm conducting, for example, in New York, like, maybe you won't see a ghost. I can't conjure them. I can't summon them at will. If I could, that would be awesome, but I can't. Maybe I'm going to give you a little more history than you were expecting. But I think the thing is the way you deliver it and the way you care about it, if you can make a person connect to it the way that guide or that ghosting or that volunteer, whoever he was, a mysterious gentleman who we'll never forget, the way he delivered that material, I think that's the key to it. Ultimately, ghosts are very shadowy, fleeting figures by definition, but it's the story. It's less what is seen and who's doing the seeing. That's more important. And so I guess that's the kind of thing you try and convey on a tour. That's the kind of effect you try and get. And hopefully everybody will feel like an 8-year-old sitting around the campfire by the end of it.
That's her quote. Demon Hunter, I'm putting Andrea's quote right there above her archive. That's amazing. I love it.
Now, Andrea, obviously, New York City, big town, lots of people. Is it easy to get tickets to go on the tour?
Well, yes, it is. I'm glad you asked that question. Yeah, you can just go on my website and you'll click on a little tab called either Tours or Calendar, and you can click on whichever tour strikes your fancy. A link will take you to an appropriate place to buy tickets. Calendar will lay out exactly what's coming up and when. There's a lot of really great stuff coming up for the summer, and of course, we're going to ramp everything up in the fall. So please go and buy some tickets on boroughsofthedead.com. It would make my night.
And you also do publications.
Yes, absolutely.
So people can also purchase books and other things off of your website?
Naturally. There's a tab called Shop. Click on that, and you'll see my book, also called Boroughs of the Dead. I like things that are hard to spell and pronounce. That helps me spell. Yeah, I know. In retrospect, bad name. Anyway, but Boroughs of the Dead is a collection of short stories that I wrote, and they're all inspired by New York City. They take place in and around the city, and some have direct kind of links to real stories and real murders that have happened here, and some are just made-up stuff. Today I wanted to point out it's June 15th. It's the anniversary of a maritime disaster called the General Slocum, where a riverboat, like a pleasure boat, crashed and burned off the coast of basically right around where Astoria is now, in the East River, and over 1,000 women and children died on that boat. This is the anniversary of that. It happened in 1904 on June 15th, and I did the ghost story on that. So I tend to kind of use New York City history and integrate that into my stories. So if Dead Kid sounds like your idea of a great Father's Day, you should definitely buy my book.
Now, Sean, to give you some idea of the General Slocum and that particular area, it was one of the places I wanted to take you when you came to see me. Literally, this is it looks like a river, but it's an inlet, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the water flows in two different directions at the same time.
Wow.
Because water's coming in from the ocean and flowing down out of New York at the same time, and it creates these huge whirlpools right in the middle of the river. And when the General Slocum sank, there was no way for people to get to the shoreline without getting sucked under by these whirlpools. And you stand on the river edge or the water edge, and you can just watch when the tide comes in, you can watch the river change direction and these pools just take up, and you can imagine what it must have been like to try and get across it.
Right. See, that's where I
call that place Hellgate.
Yep. Oh wow! See, that's where I get lost in history, and I get lost in the ghost story. Like when we were I keep bringing up the Hudson Valley. When we were driving out of Sleepy Hollow, I actually got sad driving down those shadowy back roads, and I'm just imagining, Irving walking around there with his mom and going down these and what's happened there. So definitely what you're doing, Andrea, it's amazing. Keep it up. People needs it. America, the world needs storytellers, and you're a great one.
And he really did get sad, Andrea. I had to go buy him a beer to cheer him up.
Yeah, several beers. I was happy after about 12. Yeah,
well, that's what happens when you regress back to childhood. You cry when things are over.
Anyway, the name of the book, Boroughs of the Dead, New York City's Ghost Stories. The author, Andrea Janes. Check out her amazing, macabre New York City walking tours, Boroughs of the Dead. I can't wait to be out there. Andrea, thank you so much. Stay on the line, okay?
Thank you. I'll see you guys on tour soon.
Yeah,
all right, Andrea. Thank you so much. And Sean, guess what time it is?
It's time to pay the bills.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Hey, special thanks to our networks that carry us: Planet Paranormal, Stitcher, Smart Radio 102.7 FM, The Hog, Creative Commons, and freemusicarchives.org. Midnight Syndicate, thanks for the tunes. Hey, from the haunted back roads of America, this has been another exclusive G&D show interview. Don't go changing America. You know we won't, Demon Hunter.
Because we love you.
We do. We love you so much. Have a good night, guys.